tackle the toughest business questions, addressing the most pressing issues our business community faces today. We dive into the core of business growth and strategic development. Whether you're launching a startup, managing a growing business, or refining an established enterprise, we're here to provide you insights that you need. Get ready for candid conversations and practical advice that you can implement today. Stay with us and let's grow your business together.
Kristian Livolsi, it is Tuesday. We're back with the hot seat. How are you going today?
I am well, Simone Lord, and you?
Good. We have an eCam video that started. We're live. I feel like we're kicking goals already for this particular week, so that's always a win. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I really wanted to dive into this topic of your team being on the journey with you. And this is something I really took away from our intensive that we had here in Sydney 2 weeks ago. We worked on the core of people's businesses, going deep into their values, their vision, their mission, all of those kinds of things. And I wanted to really ask you some questions today about what it's all well and good to have that as a business owner, right? But what does it mean to your team? Like, is it important for them to understand that? So I'm going to jump straight into my first question, Kristian, and ask you, how important is it for your team to understand your vision, mission, your values, your strategic plan? Do they need to know?
I guess what you're really asking is, the focus of today's questions are really around team alignment, and I think that if you're asking me how important vision and mission and strategic plans are, well, you can't create alignment without them. So ensuring that your team understands the business vision, the mission, and the strategic plan is absolutely vital. And it's vital for some key reasons. And I think this is probably the angle that I want to take today, is to, rather than say, all the reasons around it, it's like, what are actually the vital reasons? Well, obviously, and the most important is alignment and cohesion, right? So when your team, Simone, is well versed in the vision and mission, it will foster a sense of alignment and cohesion across all levels of your organization. Now, let's say that you are a organization of one. It's pretty easy to be aligned to your own vision and mission. But what we've also learnt from our own clients when they first come in, they have no vision, no mission, and no strategic plan. And the reason why they get such incredible results in the first 90 days is because the investment that we put into those people in the first 3 months, and we build them a strategic plan, we build them a roadmap. So even a team of one can have an incredible amount of clarity with a clear vision, a mission, and a strategic plan. Now, you 10x that if you have a team, because if you have fruit salad brain, as Nicole Quadling would say, one of our clients, amazing, chronic pain expert and chiropractor as well, and a master of all things, pain. You've got to be in a position where you can take that unscrambling and turn it into a fruit platter that makes sense to people, right? And so, that's what it does. So the alignment ensures that every team member is not just performing, Simone, right? And not just performing their task, but also contributing towards that common goal, which is the frustration of most business owners, right? So, it transforms routines, right, into purpose-driven activities. It's kind of how I look at it. Then you've got a clear understanding of the strategic plan also empowers team members to make decisions that are, let's say, in alignment with the long-term goals of the business. And it also gives people the autonomy. Not only does that level of autonomy speed up the decision-making process, but it also insists on a sense of ownership and accountability among team members. And again, this is the biggest complaint that we get when we speak to business owners when they first come to us, and they're like, my team is just not accountable. No shit. You have no vision, you have no mission, and you have no strategic plan. So you're giving them zero boundaries, which therefore creates zero accountability. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time, then you better jump on a phone call with one of our team, because we could probably 10x your business in a very short period of time. So, and a lot of people will gravitate, Simone, to execution strategies like marketing when they want to grow their business, when they haven't even done this level of work. And this level of work, ladies and gentlemen, is actually really hard, right? Like you actually have to spend lots of time in it, okay? It takes sometimes years to clearly define and articulate a strategic plan that gets your entire team aligned, but then the results are 10, 20, 30, 40, 100x, okay? So I can't put, again, I'm emphasizing the vital things. Another thing that's incredibly important is employees who believe in the vision and mission of a company, right? They see, and then they also see how their work contributes to those goals, are likely to be more valued and more engaged, okay? And this level of engagement is crucial for retention, and especially in a competitive marketplace that we're in now, where talent have choices. And, again, anyone listening to this, your brain should be ticking along. Like, am I doing this? No, I need to call these guys, right? Because this is what we do really, really well. And we often find it really hard to explain. So great question, because it's gotten me thinking about what do we actually do and how do we do it and what do we do for people immediately. So, then you've got things like, effective, resource utilization. That's another reason why you do it. But the one that I'm a big fan of is when a team shares a common understanding of the business objectives, Simone, it is better equipped to handle the challenges and uncertainties. Okay. And this shared vision, it actually acts as a guiding light, because what it does is it keeps the team resilient and focused throughout those tough times. So, and there's lots of examples of this in tech companies in particular, but I'm not going to go into it. We don't have a huge amount of time. But some of the things that I would do, that I always love to give people some actionable steps. Some of the things that you could do immediately is regular communication. So what you can actually do is hold regular meetings to discuss and reinforce the company's vision, mission, and strategic goals. Now, we do this in the form of huddles every day. We do it in the form of a weekly, where it's really an accountability. The weekly is really an accountability call of the preview and review. Preview and review. Then what you can do is you can ensure that every new hire are thoroughly educated about the company's vision as well as the strategic plan from day one. Right? And a lot of people say, I don't want a new hire to know this. Well, then why'd you hire them?
This is really interesting, isn't it? Does it come down to a levels of team members of who should know what and when, or is it something you should just share with everyone? Everyone Simone, on the bus, right?
It's like owners who don't want to tell people their turnover, right, internally, and don't then they realize that I'm making too much money or think that I'm making money when I'm not. Well, if you tell them what you're doing and they're aligned, then why aren't they trying to achieve your goals for you? And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, right? So I guess that then leads me to the last actionable point. During your performance reviews, including of yourself, if you're self-employed, align your individual goals with the company's strategic objectives, okay? And this will help all your employees see how their work directly contributes to the company's success. And, look, by actively involving your team in understanding and living your business vision, mission, and strategic plan, you will cultivate a workforce that is not only productive, but also passionately invested in the success of the business, just like you are in our growth school program. You clearly cannot see yourself away from it, because you're you're in charge of the community. You're heavily invested with them. When we go away every quarter, you are there picking people up from the airport if you can, when we're in Sydney. When we're elsewhere, we're getting taxis. But, we're making sure that we're all staying in the same locations. You're sitting there catching up, going running and gymming with people in the morning. All the things that I don't do. But you are clearly so heavily invested in it because you understand what we're trying to do. It's not for us, it's not a money play. For us, it's a money play for our clients. It's to create more
Yeah.
wealth for them. If they create more meaning, if they have more meaning in their business, and they create more wealth, and they create more freedom, we are doing the same. And so it's a complete
Yeah, I really
byproduct
like
of
that.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
that kind of morphs into my second question of should you have a career progression pathway for your talent? Now we refer to staff or employees as talent because that's what we think you should
yeah,
hire in your company. Should there always be a career pathway? Like you just said before, does this, if you're aligned and if you're really following with the vision and mission, does this give you a personal satisfaction to moving up in the company, or where do you think that kind of aligns from that perspective?
look, what I think and what it should be are two different things in this question, right? I believe it depends on the size of the organization. A 2-person or 3-person team, it is very difficult to create any kind of career progression. However, I've seen it done successfully and been involved in, small allied health practices where there is only 1 to 2 people, and they've built a sustainably excellent business that is totally codependent on them. And then they've gone, Kristian, I need to exit because I'm now in my 60s and I'm going to get nothing for it. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to get nothing for it? Let's put it on the market, right? And they're like, I've tried that. That hasn't worked. I said, yeah, but you haven't thought it through. I said, let's employ someone now, and that is how we're putting it on the market. Join us, work with us for a year, and the practice is yours at a fee. So it's kind of like, go out and try before you buy, and who doesn't want to practice? And it's an incredibly easy selling strategy. So if there's any allied health people that are listening, or anyone with a business, like personal trainers, I don't know why when they stop their business, they don't, they give it away, or they just tell their clients to go somewhere else. Sell it to another personal trainer who's got gaps, and don't be greedy because you're going to get nothing for it if you don't sell it. So it's a win-win, right? So back to this point, when you're looking at this, look, there is a certain level of dynamic and motivation that you can create for career progression. Now, obviously we have a very mixed bag of business owners, from solo entrepreneurs through to people that employ hundreds of people. And people were saying to me, well, how is it that you manage that? Well, it's like, well, we worked across 98 industries in 19 countries. I'm a specialist of almost all industries that I've come across, at least the 98 that I've been involved in, and there's hundreds more industries out there. So don't limit yourself. But the reality of it is, business is business. That's the speciality, right? The industry is not really relevant. We can always go and find industry experts that know about, medical rebate numbers and high cap systems work. And I mean, I know how all that works anyway because I've been involved in it for so long. But what I'm saying here is you can increase employee motivation and engagement by having career pathways. You can attract and retain really top talent if you offer that. You can enhance employee development, which should be everyone's objective, no matter how big or small your organization is. So less about career pathways, but more about career development, because the more you develop your talent, we call it layers of leadership. It's one of those things that we create in all the larger organizations. Every organization I walk into and do an audit on that is sizable, that has more than 20, 30 people in them, we immediately look at our layers of leadership strategy. And it's a strategy. And I'm not going to sit here and divulge our strategy. But the reality of it is it's very simple, very effective, and it's allowed us to grow, a lot of these larger firms 2 times revenue year on year. That doesn't sound fancy like 10x or 100x, but 10x is unrealistic when you're turning over 15 million, right? And 10x is realistic if you don't have an end date, which is 10x mindset. But if you,
it's all about a matter of perspective, right?
Correct. Like there's so much
data behind it.
All these bullshit artists out there. I'm going to 10x your business. Fuck off, right? Sure, if you've got a fucking $5 company, I can 10x your business with one idea. But the reality of it is, when you're working with people who are proper businesses, 2x is massive. If you can 2x a client in 1 year that's doing $1 million, then you're doing incredibly well as a consultant, right? Like, that to me is, in a lot of business, unparalleled. Well, we seem to get this now developing year on year on average. 2-time revenue growth, 5-time profit in your, not just profit, but even 5 times cash in the bank. Because you know me, I love cash more. But again, this comes down to this sort of stuff, making sure that if you've got a career progression for people, they will be far more aligned to your needs. Okay. And there'll also be improved succession planning, which is the ultimate reason why we do it. So I remember doing some work for a retail national chain a while ago, and we introduced career pathways for them across all the stores. And it resulted in 40%, Simone, 40% improvement in internal promotions. But you know what really excited me? Was the noticeable boost in employee morale, right?
Wow.
So the pathways were very clearly mapped out for people. Each role that we were offering had specific training and development programs, and it also enhanced operational efficiencies throughout. Now, I'm not in a position to disclose the client nor the outcomes because they're big and there was a whole bunch of NDAs, but it was a lot of work for a very big outcome, and the outcome was huge. And one of the main reasons why they are powering through at the moment is for that reason, right? They're still continuing to power on. And so, so some of the things that, we did in that process that I think everybody can do, whether you are a business of one or a business of many, is you got to define the clear career levels that you're purporting, right? So you got to outline them. You've got to tie personal development plans directly with the career pathway milestones, ensuring that employees understand how to progress. No point in having something that then no one knows how to utilize. Like, that's just stupid. And I see plenty of that. I see plenty of stupid. That's a nicer way of saying that everyone is stupid, isn't it? That's such a nice way of saying it. I see plenty of stupid. I do. I see plenty of stupid. I'm not, and look, I think when people looked into my businesses 20 years ago, they would have seen plenty of stupid too. But the reality of it is, I see plenty of stupid. So what you got to make sure is that people can understand what you're trying to do. The other one is that you've got to ensure that all your employees actually understand that the career pathways are available to them and how they can advance. Okay. So implementing, I guess, structured career paths not only benefit employees, Simone, but they also bolster the company's capability, right? The capability to manage and anticipate, right? And we all know how much I love the word anticipation, but more importantly, anticipate the changes in the human resource needs. And it's funny because I look at our clients, and even the ones that have got some challenges in high specializations like boilermakers or doctors, right? We are able to recruit on tap, right? And what we do is we actually say no more than we say yes, because we know that the talent is working in other organizations. So we wait for that talent to finally go, you know what? I want to go and work for these guys because they have great culture and they are, at the top of their game. And that's a perception thing, okay? So it's a strategic approach essentially that nurtures all your talent from within and builds loyalty, but more importantly, drives sustained business growth.
Okay, that's really cool. I love that. All right, I've got one more question and we're going to wrap this up. Let's flip the switch. And I want to ask you, what should you do if you recognize that you've got team members that aren't on the journey with you? What if they're not aligned to your vision and mission, or perhaps you've gone through a big pivot or a change? What do you do with those people?
All right, here's what not to do. Don't crash the bus, right? I see so many owners who do nothing and they crash the bus, killing everyone, including themselves. The bus is an analogy, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Collins' analogy, right? The bus is the business. What you really need to do is fire them. Right, seriously, like on a serious note.
It's so funny, right? Because we know so many people, and I hear about it in my industries and with friends' businesses, and I've been a part of businesses that just shift people, right? They're trying to move the seats, but they know they really shouldn't be there, but they're just trying to keep everyone happy.
Look,
and
I'll tell you what drives me crazy with a big F on the front. Clients who don't listen to me when it comes to people. And some of my long-term clients that are big, that have, 30, 40, 50, 60. And you're like sitting there going, okay, guys, that person's not a fit. They're within the 6-month probation. Out. Oh, but I can't do that. I'm like, no, you can. This is the only thing that you've got able to do in your business. The law says that when they tick over that 6 month, you then have to go through a series of red tape. If, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something, someone is not the right fit and someone is not aligned, they never will be. Now, remember, alignment isn't having the same values. This is the mistake some people do make. You don't have to have my values. It just so happens that we do, right? But it's like you don't have to have my values, but you have to be aligned with the organizational values, right? That's very different. And if you can't get someone to align with them, it means that they are so far to the left or the right of where you want to be. And that means that person's never going to play by your boundaries, never going to play by your rules. Like, for example, someone who doesn't value time in an organization that is time efficient is going to drive every single other person wrong. Even if that person is the best salesperson in the world, if they're always late, if they're never turning up to meetings, they will disrupt everybody else. Right? I have fired A players on many occasions, much to the disgust of people that I've worked for, as in clients, where I've gotten to make decisions as a chairman of a board or as chief advisor, where I'm just like, you're fired. Like, I love saying that. It's like my favorite thing. I wish I could be on
Should I
The
be
Apprentice.
on The Apprentice?
Yeah, I wish I could. Like,
show. It's
you're
so
fired.
good.
No, but the reality of it is,
people that really they get stuck in that mindset of, oh, this person's got a family to feed, and I feel for them. How can I let them go? What would you say to someone who's sitting in that mindset with their leadership?
look, I think the issue is this is not about personal, right? We are talking about situations that I have been in where I retained all my staff during a global financial crisis, and then those people left and burnt me in the process, right? I've been burnt by people that I looked after, and then they have the audacity to say that, oh, well, I didn't do something. And it's like, are you kidding me? I employed you when there was no work and you were too fucking lazy to go out and hustle, right? So don't, and this is not some kind of like vendetta against employees. I personally, I don't even care if employees don't like me, right? Not you guys, right? But I'm saying employees in client companies, because that's not what I'm being there to do. I'm there to, and I'm not a capitalist either. I'm there because what I'm trying to do is to help that organization's key stakeholders get the very best outcomes. And I've never fired a great employee. Okay, I've fired A players who don't align with the organizational structure of an organization because I know the damage and toxicity they will continue to create within that organization. And I've got case studies and bucket loads of them where we have terminated key, very important people in companies, including family members, right? And then those companies have gone on to thrive, right? But sometimes that's why you got to have independent advisors around you. You know, I was having this conversation with one of my best mates where he was like, oh, no, you can't have an independent advisor. You have people that have got skin in the game. And I'm like, no, you're looking at this completely wrong. If you go in with that approach, you're never going to get a level of independence required, right? Well, why, Kristian? Wouldn't you buy into our business so you can be on our board? Why would you want me to do that? Well, you got skin in the game. No, then I can't make really good decisions because then I'm going to develop biases. This is what happens, particularly in family businesses. You know, we're really going to hone in on family businesses in the next 3 to 4 months because with the current market, there's going to be cash pressures. People are going to start fighting, right? So there's only 2 times that you fight, in a marriage or in a business. And money is one of them, right? When you have too much of it and when you don't have enough, right? What happens in your marriage happens in a place of work. Now imagine that then it's a family business. Let's say it's husband and wife. Oh my God, the fucking fireworks that just go off, right? Now, I don't want to particularly put myself into that stakeholder management position, but I got to admit, I miss the drama. I think I was saying this to you guys. Like, we've built a business that everybody wants, right? Like, it's got all the freedom in the world, all the time and money that you can create, and we're helping our clients do it. That's why. But there is a time where I miss the drama. Like, I kind of have to go, okay, shit. Where and why? Because it's got to test my expertise, and I love the negotiation, And that's what this is all about. Like, you got to go in, you got to conduct the one-on-one discussions, you got to reaffirm the company's visions and goals to all the stakeholders, you got to offer the support and resources. I know I'm saying that I go in and just cut the jugular open. That's not the way it happens, right? But you got to go in with that mindset. You got to go in with the mindset that you are on a mission to terminate. And then people show their true colors, and you go, actually, you're fantastic. You just haven't been, you're not aligned with this because no one's actually walked you through this, right? Or you are so disgruntled about something that happened 5 years ago that you're taking that out on your spouse, who also happens in your business, and you're destroying this business. Like, what are you doing? And that's the level that someone independent can come in and put the mirror in front of you, right? And I got to be honest, I love that. That's one of my favorite jobs to do, to go in. I did it this morning at 8 o'clock after dropping Leo to choir. Someone asked me to go in and have a look at their business for them, someone I know really well. And in the first 3 minutes, I asked 2 questions, and I went, you guys have no alignment on what you're trying to achieve. And these guys are some of the best people I've ever sat around the table with, and their light globe just went on. And for 45 minutes, we jammed out all the stuff that they got aligned and clear on, and I'm confident they'll make $1 million from an hour session with me. I'm confident. Now they've got to go and execute, right? And they've already booked me in for another hour, and it's going to go on and on. And they're a multi-site organization with incredible people, But because their alignment might be slightly out of whack, doesn't mean they're not aligned in their own values, just their goals and objectives. So you got to set those clear expectations as well as milestones. And I have no doubt these guys are going to kill it because they are fantastic human beings, every single one of them. Right? And I know every single one of them too, so that kind of helps, right? And that 2 of them are actually really good friends of mine, so that kind of helps as well. But again, friends in business together need independence to sometimes just shine a little light, right? Because most people, when they start partnerships, they start for all the right reasons, and then they grow apart, and it's because they fail to trust each other, or their wives or husbands get in the heads of the people and say, oh, why is that person having a better life than you? And all of a sudden, it just gets a mess. And that's where I say to people, if you're in a partnership, you need a little Kristian Livolsi in your life. Well, actually, Adrian Lee says that. Amanda says, choose Kristian over Tony Robbins. So we've got all these people that say all these things, and I feel incredibly humbled by it. But the reality of it is, you don't need Kristian. You need someone that's independent, who gives a shit, who's been through those wars, who understands those complications. So again, going back to this, you've got to evaluate the fit, and you've got to make the tough decisions. And you also got to promote a culture of openness and inclusion. Like, in our organization, you would say that we are pretty open, right? Like, if we don't like something, we say it. You and Bonnie generally don't like it when I'm getting angry and get quite frustrated. And you close up like roses that have not hatched. And I look at it and I go, I'm just going to keep going. I know they're turned off, but I'm just going to vent. It's my venting session, and it's all recorded. So, but the reality of it is, you got to understand what people are like. Right? And you got to understand that we all put pressure on ourselves, and everyone has competing priorities, which is going to be something I'm so excited about. I'm writing about it. I'm going to publish it. It's going to be fantastic. All the employees out there, you're probably going to dislike me. All the employees out there, you're going to probably just fall in love with everything I'm writing because it's going to make total sense to you. Someone has to write the frustrations of the universe out in the open table. But the reality of it is, Simone, I think what's really, really key about making the tough decisions is that by proactively addressing misalignment, right? So I call it misalignment, okay? Just people weren't the right fit to start with. You can actually ensure that your team not only shares, but is enthusiastic about your business journey, fostering a united workforce that drives collective success, but also deselects out the B and C players, right? Within an organization. Now, I want to just a caveat to anyone who thinks I just go firing people. I most of the time actually force people to deselect, right? I think I've only ever fired maybe a few. I just realized I've actually employed thousands of people. Like, I'm pretty sure I've had over 3,500, 4,000 employees over the 25-year journey in 80 ventures. But the reality of it is, and maybe I've not fired people directly, but my management team have. And this is the reason why I push people hard. And my managers always used to say to me, it's funny, your employees love working for you. your management team hates you. And I'm like, yeah, because you guys don't want to make the tough decisions. And so I have to put my foot in the back of your neck to get you to do what you need to do. Now, that wasn't always the case. The managers that didn't like me used to say that. But then I've always had people that have worked with me for 10 years plus. So clearly, they're, but again, it's that misalignment, right? Some people have far greater expectations upon themselves. And I think a lot of the time, if you're a high performer, and all you business owners out there that are high performers, and you've got high energy, people gravitate to you, right? And what it is, you got to be really careful that you're not recruiting people that are just your followers, that are just saying yes. Because that's all well and good for the first 3 or 4 months. But then when the shit doesn't get done, you start to get really frustrated. And then you realize, hey, dipshit, you made the mistake, not the employee you hired. Right?
Yeah.
And then you're too scared to make the decision to go, oh, hang on, this isn't working, right? And then you might sit there, and then all of a sudden you start seeing your revenue decline, and especially if you've hired the wrong sales manager, and now the sales manager's disgruntled so because you're not hanging out with them, and all of a sudden there's this, oh my God, I'm being abandoned, and so that abandonment philosophy, oh my God, it was my childhood, for fuck's sakes, right? I mean, you know what I'm talking about, because you hear it as well from the stories, but the reality of it is business should be fun. And if you hire the right people who are aligned with your vision, with your strategic plan and your mission, then you're going to have fun, right? Like that. That's really what it comes down to. And after all of that, that's probably what it comes down to. It's like, so whether you're having to get rid of people, deselecting them, or embracing them, it all comes down to create the alignment, and you will have more meaning, you'll have more wealth, and you'll have more freedom than you've ever had before. And that's what it's all about. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But it does get easier if you work with a whole bunch of people that are on the same path and trajectory as you. That's it.
I love that. That's absolutely awesome. And I know this is another one of those topics that we could be here for another hour talking about and just unpacking it. It's good fun. There's lots of stories. There's lots into this. So Kristian Livolsi, thank you for your time and your insights. This has been a great episode of The Hot Seat. So many takeaways for our audience. If you are joining us live, please drop something into the comments. Let us know your thoughts. If you're watching it on replay, drop us a hashtag replay. We'd love to hear that from you. And we'll be back next Tuesday with another hot topic of discussion and getting all of your wisdom and expertise. So Kristian Livolsi, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Hey, by the way, so before everyone goes, that was the best close you've ever done. And that smile on your face tells me that we're going to have a cracking conversation after this. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful afternoon. Bless you.
Thank you for joining us on The Hot Seat. We hope today's session gave you valuable insights to drive your business forward.
Remember, every challenge is an opportunity for growth.
Every question brings us closer to the answers that can transform our businesses. Stay connected with us, follow our journey, share your thoughts, and be a part of our community.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss future episodes. Together, let's elevate your business to new heights.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Hot Seat.